We're breached. They barricaded the doors. We're getting gas masks on. Guns are drawn on the outside.
I saw what the president said, and I said, uh-oh, here they come. It means obviously in that moment, you knew he was inciting them.
Can you feel safe under this presidency? What do you feel needs to be done? There are calls for impeachment.
Madam Speaker, now we hear talk of the president's notion of a peaceful transfer of power, which apparently means what? Minimal casualties? Now we hear talk of healing after the criminal acts are completed. Never as a criminal defense attorney did I say, Judge, yeah, my guy completed the armed robbery, but let's heal now. No, there was accountability. There was accountability then, there should be accountability now, and there should be impeachment now.
The extraordinary damage and assault on our country at the nation's capital questions how we can protect our nation's capital and our democracy.
We must constantly work to preserve our democratic institutions from those who wish to threaten them. Because one of the most powerful instructions or lessons from the last century is that democracy is deeply fragile.
While this was happening, we wanted to get back on the floor and finish our constitutional responsibility. And I'm more determined now than ever to go to the inauguration and again, see a peaceful transfer of power.
I know the last time we talked to you was 2 weeks ago during the unrest that we saw there at the Capitol. Much different picture today. How did things go?
It was an olive branch, a notion toward unity, not the politics of division. Democracy won.
Representative Mike Quigley of Illinois, Representative Nanate Barragan of California, and New Hampshire's Annie Custer all spending 3 days touring Acadia National Park this week.
Acadia National Park is also getting attention from federal leaders today.
We're in Acadia National Park in Maine for our 6th annual climate change tour of our national parks. 6 years ago, we decided that we wanted to reflect the dangers of climate change to America. And what better way to show that than to be in our beloved national parks and to let people know what climate change is doing to our national parks.
7 Action News continues on the trail of this big cat on the prowl in a northeast Detroit neighborhood.
500-pound carnivores pose a serious and very real threat to first responders, law enforcement officers, entire communities around the country.
The congressman behind the Big Cat Public Safety Act visited Black Pine Animal Sanctuary today. Mike Quigley, a representative from Chicago, is the lead sponsor of the bill, which, if passed, would make it illegal to privately own big cats like lions and tigers.
The beautiful cats that we see here today, actually 4 of those were rescued from the Tiger King facility. It just shows, look, there's ramifications for this abuse.
Let's go to D.C. Lawmakers want the U.S. Postal Service to stop helping to fuel what is a cruel, barbaric practice, a blood sport, if you will. I'm talking about cockfighting.
This is a horrible practice. It has been a felony since the beginning of this century. So, it's time that we end the practice. People have to come to terms with the reality of the situation, and we need USPS to play a role. It provides critical assistance to Americans who are desperately in need. Also, the state and local governments. This bill, just for example, will keep the trains running in Chicago through 2023. It will provide critical assistance at a time when they need it most.
A recent congressional hearing shined a spotlight on the Chicago Post Office, which remains plagued with problems.
The notion of decreasing standards while increasing prices defies business logic. It's really a disservice to the American people.
Congressman Mike Quigley introduced the Gym Mitigation and Survival Act, known as the GYMS Act. It would be $30 billion in aid to gyms and fitness centers. He says it would be good for business and our well-being.
I think we've suffered a double whammy there. People aren't as good a shape. They're depressed. They're trapped in their houses. They can't get out. They can't socialize. And they can't get in the shape they need to face the pandemic. Let's go big on infrastructure. We're getting outspent 3-1, 4-1, 5-1 by our competitors. We're $3 trillion down. My argument is we can't go small. And if the Republicans don't want to go with a significant package, we'll use any process we have to. We're going to rebuild Lakeshore Drive. We're going to rebuild our transit systems, our roads, our bridges. And as far as our human infrastructure, this is going to help people with community college. It's going to help lift half of all kids out of poverty through the child tax credit. We're talking about doing an infrastructure package, which would be of historic qualities, right? $1 trillion, the largest public works infrastructure package in our nation's history.
Any one of the provisions in this package, if passed alone, would be seen as landmark legislation. And we have to judge it not necessarily for what's not in there, which frustrates me too, but what is in there. Universal pre-K, the expansion of Pell Grants, expanding Medicare to include hearing. I could go on for a dozen other measures. Those are absolutely critical.
My friend Brian Wallach, who was diagnosed with ALS 4 years ago, told Congress that this fight is the closing argument for his life. I can't look him in the eye and tell him we have to wait. None of us should.
Just trying to buy ourselves more time to be here for the bigger breakthroughs.
The Kenilworth couple's lobbying for more research funds and also passage of Act for ALS. It would accelerate access to promising and possibly life-saving treatments still in the trial stages. Illinois Congressman Mike Quigley is the sponsor of Act for ALS. It has bipartisan support and more than 300 co-sponsors.
ALS may rob people of their physical ability to speak, but make no mistake, this community has made themselves heard. It is their will that has brought this vote to us today. It is their will, and with that will, there is a way. Where there is consensus, there can be progress. Where there is funding, a cure will follow.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The bill is passed.